Welcome back to Pivot Point. I'm your host, Maya Rockymore. I am pleased to be joined today by Trudy Lieberman of the Columbia Journalism Review. And Trudy, you also did an article recently about a bill from Tennessee Senator Corker. Can you tell us about the Dollar for Dollar Act? Trudy, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. The Dollar for Dollar Act with Senator Bob Corker. You did a piece that talks about this bill and what it may do with regards to the debt ceiling and linking any increase in the debt ceiling to cuts in Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. What did you find?
Well, essentially what Corker's plan wants to do is shift a lot of the cost of medical care to Medicare beneficiaries. And he has a number of provisions in the plan, and the ones I zeroed in on were the ones that were going to affect Medicare beneficiaries and their Medigap plans. And his bill is somewhat complicated, and it probably is not going to pass. But I think the takeaway is that some version of some of his plans may get traction as the year goes on. And I'm just going to discuss a couple of them. One of them would change the relationship between the Medicare beneficiary and a Medicare supplement policy, often called a Medigap. And most people buy Medigaps of some kind because they don't want the big surprises. If they have a serious illness, they want to be covered, and they want first dollar coverage. They don't want to pay a lot of money up front because a lot of seniors don't have the money to pay up front. And I think that point sometimes gets lost in Congress as the debate drags on. So what Corker's plan will do will be prohibiting Medigap policies from covering that first dollar coverage. And one of the things it will do is have what's called a unified deductible. So right now people pay a deductible for hospital costs and they pay a deductible for their medical costs, otherwise known as Part B services. So under Corker and some other proposals, there would be one deductible, and his happens to be $550. And so what that means is that some people will pay more than they pay now. People who never go to the hospital don't have to pay the hospital deductible, and they would have a Medigap plan that paid for it anyway. So it's going to mean that people will have to shoulder the first $550, but there's also other cost sharing that he has in mind, and 20% co-insurance that people have to pay for Part B services will apply to other services than it applies to now, which means people will have to pay more. And some advocates who've studied this bill believe that some couples could pay as much as $15,000 out of pocket for any policy pays.
And the average, and we should point out that the average income for Medicare beneficiaries is $24,000 a year.
Yeah, I know at least half of them have incomes below that.
That's right. That's average. Means some are better and some are worse.
And the other thing that is talked about a lot is raising the age for Medicare eligibility and means testing Medicare, or maybe making people pay higher premiums than they are now. And I think the more likely scenario is to have some sort of change that would require the means tested or income related premium to fall on more people. Right now, about 5% of beneficiaries pay it for Part B services, and I think the plan is eventually to have maybe 25% people caught in this higher premium world. That will take several years before that happens, and what will happen is that they will change the thresholds that trigger these higher premiums. Mm-hmm. Right now, people with incomes, families with incomes of $170,000 and individuals with incomes of $85,000 or above are caught with a higher premium. But by changing those thresholds or changing the indexing on the thresholds, more people will have to pay it. And I think there's a fair amount of support for that change. And again, I think one would have to ask is, who can pay that? I know some work by the Kaiser Family Foundation has shown that when such a plan is fully implemented, that people with incomes about $47,000 in today's dollars would be captured under that increasing premium. So that can be quite a hit for a lot of people.
Yeah, they call this skin in the game, under the theory that if people have more skin in the game, meaning that they pay out of pocket more, then they'll be less likely to access or utilize health care, which will save the system money from their perspective. They don't really care about the health of the population. They're just talking about saving the system money. Do you think, several weeks ago, I spoke before the Congressional Black Caucus members at their annual retreat. And, I painted a scenario where they could very well be faced with the choice of either raising the debt ceiling or making cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Do you think that this will be rolled out in time for the debt ceiling debate as a part of that package?
These changes to Medicare, probably not. I think a lot of the skin in the game stuff is still sort of simmering below the surface. We know that the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, which is the regulatory body for states where all insurance regulation is centered, came out with a report showing that there was really no evidence that seniors particularly were using more services than would be warranted. And what they found, that the studies show that in general, that while some people do go to the doctor more when they have this first dollar coverage, that when you look deeper at it and found out how they applied to seniors, there was no evidence that that was going on. And so a task force that the NAIC had set up reported out their findings, and they recommended that there should be no change in cost sharing for two particular Medigap policies, Plan F and Plan C, which happen to be the most popular plans because they pay almost everything, and people want that covered.
So, Trudy, we're running out of time, but I do want to ask you this last question, and that is, you say that this report showed the fallacy of the argument that by increasing out-of-pocket costs for beneficiaries, then it will decrease utilization. Yet these kinds of myths continue to be prominent in the debates, regardless of what the facts are. And so just my last question for you is the state of reporting. What role have reporters played in terms of perpetuating these myths that then feed into the policy frenzy?
Well, I think, as I've reported many times, that they have a lot to do with it. It sounds good. It sounds simple. We use too many services, and in some cases that's true if we look at the whole system overall. But we're not really looking at what's behind it, and I think that's the beauty of the NAIC task force, that they actually took the studies and examined them and said, there's nothing doing here, guys. And I think that hasn't been reported, and I have urged reporters to do that, and will continue to do so.
Well,
myths die hard.
Well, Trudy, I just want to tell you that, from your Social Security coverage to your Medicare coverage, you are asking the hard questions, and I thank you so much for your heroism, sheroism, if you will, in terms of putting pen to paper and calling out the mainstream news media and policymakers, frankly, for resting on their laurels and not digging down to the truth. So thank you for all the truth that you highlight at the Columbia Journalism Review.
Well, thank you so much, Maya.
And I hope to have you on again in the future.